It's an interesting thing. You think that, cycling is, an individual sport. It is. Your own training comes from you. Your own progression comes from you. Your own hard work comes from you and your work ethic. But when you're riding and competing, there's another element called a team.
I had no angle. I had no idea what angle they were going in, how serious of a team this is going to be. And then you realize it's like, hey, we want you out there racing all the time. It's like, cool, I can do that. Engine 11 was really small when we started, and you're seeing it's getting progressively bigger and bigger, and we're getting people know who we are, and it's like, whoa, to me it's almost surreal.
Before, none of us knew how to race competitively. We were all learning and just trying to figure out how to ride our bikes, basically in a new form of racing, how to win. Yeah, it's a lot easier now being on the team than it used to be, because before, the incentive was very low. There's no help. You was guessing. Well, I'll just try this out and see if it works. And now we've figured out what works and what doesn't work. And we have a lot of support from other members.
We're discovering it on our own, just coming basically from street riding and just the want to learn and the want to progress on our own, that's why I was naturally drawn to the E11 boys. I mean, we all got along naturally because, we learn each other's, personalities, how they ride, and it's kind of less drama, bro, straight up, because we get along.
I'm Andrew Heitink. I'm 25 years old. I'm from Los Angeles, California. I'm an artist. I race bicycles for fun. I commute every day on my bike. Yeah, I work, just live a really simple, enjoyable life. Let's put it that way, Art for me has always been it's my mentality. I taught myself how to paint, I taught myself how to look at an image and go, the lighting's like this and this needs to get blended with this. And, I kind of really taught myself that. So when I create something, I get connected to it, and I really feel it. And through everything I do, I try to keep a real spiritual sense of who I am, and it portrays in my art, I guess you can say, I got into cycling through commuting, the necessity of needing to get around. So I needed to get a bike, basically, so I started riding around, and you start doing the 5 miles a day, and then you start doing the 10 miles a day, and you start going farther and farther, and you realize it's pretty efficient as long as you just take care of yourself, Next thing you know, I found out there's a race scene involved, and there's things like group rides, and there's things like, there's a culture behind it other than just me needing to go from point A to point B, So now I race on the velodrome, and now I'm out there training, and I'm out there, just racing any kind of racing I can do, whether it's a street race or a sanctioned race or whatever it is, that's what I enjoy doing. It turned in from necessity to a passion for me now. So it's good. I enjoy pushing myself.
My name is Brad, and I am the owner, operator of Roadrunner Bags. I ride my bike and I make bags and backpacks, wallets, handmade American goods, designed by cyclists and then for cyclists. Started really local, just going to LA. I would take trips up to LA and just hit up every bike shop. But so the scale, I would say, we're constantly growing and learning. It's extremely exciting. I love creating a product and then figuring out how to make 10 of those products at one time. We've probably made an easy 1,000 products between Brianna. We've dished out 1,000 different items with our logo on them. So when Engine 11 was a baby, that's when Roadrunner was a baby as well. So it was these two babies. We were both learning how to survive. The team was learning how to continue on being a team, and I was learning how to continue doing what I love to do, which is sewing and crafting and constructing and designing, just working 40 to 50 hours a week, because you work out of your home, you come home, and what are you gonna do? You're gonna work. When Kevin started Engine 11 last year, I was one of the original members with Bud. It was just us. And then Kevin is a manager, and then other people kind of just started popping in. I mean, I love to win. Everyone loves to win. Who doesn't love to win? But it's not about winning. I love to watch other people suffer. My goal in a race is to make everyone hurt that much more. I show up to a race just to increase the competition. I'm the instigator. Somebody has to do it. I love it. I want to see their face just get all red and they just sweat and just give their last gasp.
My name is Langdon, and I ride for ENGINE11. Earlier in this year, I started designing and making coffee tables, one for my own need. I always design things and make things for what I need personally. And then it just clicked. I was like, dude, like nobody designed like functional furniture or a bike rack that kind of space saves things. So I started, naturally working with steel and framing with steel. And then just kind of incorporating the raw elements of wood, and steel, there was kind of a nice natural contrast that flowed nicely. I'm kind of into the flow of things. It's kind of like, I think that's why I'm sort of drawn to cycling and bicycles in general. Once you get going, there's a flow, and there's sort of just this feel that it's sort of undescribable, and you just kind of go with it. I was sponsored by another team at the time, but I always saw and knew Kevin, and we were just all friends from riding in the street, in the track, whatever. I was chasing them dudes down, and they were chasing me down. And then it came to a point where Bud and Brad were just like, dude, why isn't he on our team? Being with ENGINE11, like you basically have to put 110% to be competitive. If you don't, you're just wasting your time. So I try to race as much as possible. There's nothing better that I've learned. The intensity is there. You get comfortable and you're just riding together. It kind of reminds me of like Blue Angels flying. But the work ethic comes from within. It comes from the rider. It's not really the bicycle. It's the engine that puts the hammer to the metal.